Well, well, well. Here we are again. We are live at the 6 o'clock hour Central, but for our special guest, it's East Coast time. So she's joining us at 7 o'clock her time. We certainly hope it is not past her bedtime. We know better than that. Uh, but you don't see her on the screen just yet, but I will introduce her in just a minute. First of all, just a few housekeeping things. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for the support. We started the Cyber Month. It was just an idea. It was, something that it's like, let's just try this thing out. And lo and behold, we've gotten great response. Lots of new followers on the YouTube channel, some new followers on the social media channels for School of Business and Technology at Louisiana Delta Community College. So nothing but thanks to everyone who is supporting and for everybody who's getting something out of the presentations. We really, really hope that you continue to tune in. And so that's my special thanks for today. And I will stop there because you're not here for me. You are here for our special guest, the guest of the hour, or maybe the hour and a half. I think she said she's going to put me to work. And I'm just a little scared because I'm so used to just listening. But she's got tons of skill in a lot of different areas. But today, we're talking about Agile and Agile Project Management, Scrum, and all those other acronyms that I can't pronounce. But I'm here to welcome to our, who is this, the fifth one? Our fifth Cyber Month live stream. The one, the only, make sure I get my screen share going right, Miss Paulette Strain.
Hi.
So
Hi, Ryan.
hey, we're so thankful that you're here with us. It's always great to have experts on and in the room because, don't leave it to me to teach it all. It's not good, right? You need people in field. You need those that are experts that can share a wealth of knowledge and experience that instructors sometimes, we have some, but we don't have it all. And so that's why we enjoy the collaboration. And thank you so much for being here. Miss
Thank
Strain,
you.
Miss Strain, it's been a long time coming. We've worked together on various projects before, but can you tell the viewing audience just a little bit about yourself? Give an introduction that I know you do better than I could if I did it by myself.
Well, thank you. And you can call me Paulette. Hi, everyone. My name is Paulette Strain, and I've been in this arena, for over 20, 25 years. My background in college was sociology minors in business. And when I was in college, I realized that there was this turn of events of computers. So I started doing some investigation, and started taking a lot of classes. But I still had to get my degree. But make a long story short, moving it forward, I took that interest in computers, and I really honed in on that. And my skill set is project management. I like to take things from conception to end. And that's a natural skill of mine, Ryan. And so I just pretty much try to hone my skill sets, as they call my God gifted gifts,
That's
into
right.
something that I am passionate about and that I like. And so throughout the course of my career, I have been able to navigate um, my God-given talent, my education, to come up with a career. So definitely over the last 20 years, I have my PMP. I was able to get my project management certification. I'm certified in that.
Oh, now see, now I have to stop you right there. PMP, Project Management Certification. Okay, we're talking about Agile, but PMP is not an Agile thing, right? So where does that come from? What's PMP?
Okay. Well, PMP is project management, and it's another type of framework to take a project from beginning to end. And that was out there first. Then you have, and I saw a natural progression of me doing my project management, and I have project management skills in various industries. You name it, I have probably had the experience in that. And then I found out that, hey, you know what? There's another aspect of a framework to move an idea whether it be a IT idea or a business idea from conception to end, and that's called Agile. And in 2009, in addition to my PMP certification that I got in 2004 and 2009, I got my first Scrum Master certification. And back then, Agile was just coming out. It was just blossoming, as they say.
Way back in
And
2009.
yeah, I know. I didn't even tell you what year I got out of college, but I skipped that. So I'll do 2009. That doesn't sound as bad.
Okay. I like
That
it.
does that does that. But make a long story short, 2009, I got my first certification. I've worked in full time, and I'm also have worked in the consulting arena. So I've moved forward, fast forward. In 2018, I received my SPC, which is Scaled Professional Consultant, which encompasses the highest.
I mean, we're talking big time now, right? I mean, you can't. I don't know if you can get much higher than that.
Well, yes, yeah, yeah. So that's the highest. That's one of the highest certifications that you can get. There's a SPCT, but I have my SPC certification as well as 5 enablements underneath that.
So basically, if anybody was wondering, are we talking to somebody that's for real, that knows what's going on, that's an agile master and project management master, you definitely have the credentials to go to show for it. So that is great. Now, I gotta ask, what company are you representing? I tend to ask that a lot. So what is the name of the company?
Company I represent that I am the founder and CEO, CIO, CFO.
Okay, say it.
No.
What is it? Who is it?
It is called CBS Project Management, and CBS Project Management stands for Continuous Business Solutions Project Management.
Okay, so I asked this question. What's in the name? So why CBS? Why continuous project? Wait, say it again. Continuous business
Continuous
solutions.
business Continuous
Ooh,
business solution,
don't let me tell.
because it is when you use, whether you use project management, whether you use agile, those frameworks helps an individual, well, it helps a company, whether you be small, medium, or large, continuously work on your strategic plans to go from concept to end, so that you can provide a product or service to your customer, so that your business is continuously growing, thriving, changing. Those are the kind of things that industries and companies have to work on. And so that's what I called it, continuous business solution project management.
I'm probably jumping ahead here, and I know you have a presentation for us that we're
Oh,
going to go
okay.
through as well. But
Yeah.
when I think about the PMP certification that you got, and would that framework be considered waterfall versus what we're going to talk about, which is agile? Am I getting too far ahead?
No,
Ask
you're
ask
not.
the expert, right?
No, you're not. Project management, its origin is in construction. So therefore, you have very silo aspects, and
Hmm.
then the origination from construction. Then it was adopted by IT, and you have your water. For those who don't understand, your waterfall or SDLC is that you do your requirements. You have your ideology. You have your requirements. Then you have your design. Then you have your build. Then you have your test, and then you have your what they call release, and that can take within a typical agile, well, excuse me, within a typical project management or project management life cycle, that can take up to 6 months to 2 years, 3 years. Hence, within our digital age that we're in, and I'll talk about that later, you don't have time for a project or a product or service to take 6 months, a year to 2 years to get out, because what? You are competing. We're in a competitive age, and we cannot wait for our products to get to our customers 6 months. More or less, our customers can't wait. I mean, look at when you look at Verizon, when you look at AT&T, when you look at Google, when you look at all of these companies, if they had to wait for products to go to get to their customers 6 months to 12 months out the year, they'll be out of business.
Mm,
So
okay.
those type of companies are embracing agile. Or they're not now. Granted, we're not throwing the baby in the bathwater out with project management. Project management has its aspects. The two work together. Um, but Agile has a better way of getting products and services out to your customers much more quicker. And it's not just about IT. You have HR departments, marketing departments, healthcare systems, all of these utilizing Agile to get their products out to their customers much more in a faster fashion.
Wow. Okay. So I know.
As you can see, I'm very passionate.
Yeah. I mean, I know that we got to get to it, and so I'm not going to stand in the way
No,
of the
we're good.
present
This
of
is
the
good.
presentation. Just off the wall. I say off the wall, maybe off the cuff, questions and whatnot. But I think I have.
Fine.
I actually, I was in the background. What you didn't know was that I had a little bit of technical difficulty as you're talking. I'm thinking, wait a minute, is the PowerPoint going to come up? Can I make it work?
Well, hey,
And
I can flip either way.
right.
I have I
I
can.
know, but I think so. So let's just try it, right? Live TV, live stream. Sometimes these things don't work out the way we want them to, but let's flip it over to the presentation and see.
Let's go to page two. Start on
Yeah.
page two.
So this is the cybersecurity page, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I want everyone to just look at that page.
Okay.
Just look at it, and in that page, you'll see corporations, government. Um, Anytime you connect to the internet, you are suspect to a cyber attack.
Hmm.
It's across the board. Cyber attack does not discriminate. The hackers don't care. They want to get into your businesses, your laptops, your cell phone. Everything is fair game when it comes to cyber attack. And that's one reason when I saw that page, Ryan, I was like, this is a perfect page because it covers everything.
I find it funny that you think I'm just a small fry out here. Nobody wants to bother me. Nobody wants to steal my identity. I'm nobody, and yet I hear more and more that folks are victims of bank fraud, credit card fraud, identity theft, all kinds of things, and you could be anybody. I mean, literally anybody. If your number's called, you may become a victim, and it's tough. It's tough to understand that. We're thinking they're only going after big fish like Target and Best Buy and things like that, but that's not the case at all. Huh?
I got hit last year, October.
Wow, wow.
Somebody called me up saying, "Hey, your Amazon account," and everything came over as if it was an Amazon. And let's just say I was vulnerable. I was trying to work at the same time. Again, we all were working from home last year,
That's right.
and I wasn't really paying attention,
Hmm.
and I got hit. But luckily, I was able to cut them off at the path before they got into my account, and I had to change everything. So when you addressed me with this topic about a month and a half ago, I was like, yes, this is real near and dear to my heart. This is I was home in my house and got attacked. So
And it's interesting because you have that page up or that slide, and yet we're talking about Agile. And so I guess I know what you're about to get into is the segue into, well, what does this mean? How does Agile and cybersecurity go hand in hand? So I'm going to switch over to actually the fourth slide where it talks about purpose, business agility is key to cybersecurity, and so on.
yes.
Let's talk about that one.
Okay, no problem. So why agile or business agile is the key to cybersecurity. And if you have two distinct paragraphs in here. First, Agile Safe is a holistic business and IT solution. Period, point blank, stop. Basically, it means whether you're business or profit, nonprofit, government, we all have to work collaboratively in order to solve real work problems. Real work problems. I don't care where you are. We have to do that. But in addition to that, in order to solve these real work problems in the workplace, you also have to now understand that you have to have security hardness. And what does that mean? That means that any organization, like once again, business, nonprofit, or government have to reduce their vulnerability. You've already heard about the here in Atlanta. That's where I'm at. I'm in Atlanta.
Oh,
They had to
you
shut
just
down.
expose yourself right there, right? We know where you
Yeah,
live now. No, just go
yeah.
ahead.
But Atlanta about a year ago got attacked. That's a government agency, and they had to quickly turn around and find ways in which they could shut that breach so that they can recoup what the files and things of that nature.
And we had cybersecurity students or that took on an internship recently, and one of the topics of discussion was when Louisiana also got attacked as a state, and it's lots of government agencies were victimized because of that. But keep going. And City of Atlanta got it too.
Right.
Said nobody's immune.
So no, right, nobody, and so that's where the business agility and cyber comes into play because it doesn't matter. We have to bring those two together. Those two are intertwined because of our digital age. But I want to give you some really good statistics. Let's take it to the small business, and that's where most people, like you were saying earlier, Brian. I mean, excuse me, Ryan.
That's okay.
That it's not the big fish in the sea that the hackers are going after. They're going after small businesses. You can bring up the next screen. And this is
Sure.
surprising. 42% small business cybersecurity statistics. 42% of companies that was about last year got hit. This company called
Advisor Smith.
Advisor Smith, I'm trying to remember the name. Advisor Smith did a survey on about 1,100 companies, small companies, and 42% were hit in 2021. That's almost 50%. That's
Wow.
a high number.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really high number.
Yeah, and
And
I'm
then
thinking again as a small business, oh, nobody was bothered with me. I don't have any assets really, but it doesn't matter because those attackers are coming after the easy targets. And if you don't have the
easy
proper
targets,
framework set up, they're going to take whatever they can get, no matter how little.
and easy targets is okay, your gas station, your 7-Elevens, your Pizza Hut, all of these small companies, your small software, your small retail, all these companies, all these small businesses, what do they have in common? They access the internet to do point of sales,
Yep, very
okay?
true.
A point of sale or POS, their point of sales. They have access to the internet so that they can do social media, so that they can advertise their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They have emails. Most of them have some form of social accounts. I mean, all of those forms of access for cyber attacks. Okay, so never say it won't happen to me. It can happen easily, easily, easily. So okay, so my thing is okay. The next thing is okay. So what do they attack? What kind of attacks do we have? And in the next slide, folks, we have the types of cyber attacks on small business in 2021, and the top of that um, list is 23.7% of the companies got phishing attacks.
Yep.
And these guys, they go after specific employees. This is what got me when I read the statistics. They target specific employees and generally see a higher success rate.
Hmm.
Okay, they target specific employees. So once again, you're looking at small company. They don't have a firewall. Most of their firewalls are probably weak. Um, and if you are an individual that likes to go surfing on the social media and places like that on your phone or or the company, sometimes you are triggering a a signal to a sophisticated hacker that, oh, you like this kind of stuff, you like this, you like that. How they got my Amazon account, I couldn't tell you, but I'm thinking my Amazon account is secured.
Right.
But then again, you have a lot of companies that have been hacked, and Amazon was one of them.
Yeah.
So those are things. And then you have what you call a data breach, meaning they were able to get past the. And okay, when I say firewall, folks, there are in bigger companies, and then you do have them in small companies as well. There is a server there that really monitors how what information goes out and what information comes in, and it has the software to identify hackers who are trying to get in, and you have to have certain um, special codes and passwords and those extra layers of security. And if you notice more and more from a cyber attack, even on your phone, or when you get in, and when you're involved with Amazon or Netflix or anything like that, you may have a layer of security where you put in you call them, they send you back a code, well, and they send that back. Well, that aspect of sending out a code, you're asking for access, they send you a code and come back. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, but that's an access that was developed under Agile. Because what was happening was too many customers were having problems, were getting hacked. And so for certain companies, they couldn't wait 6 months to years. So with Agile, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but with Agile, it's you develop small increments of workable products that can be sent out or distributed to your customers in increments. And so you build on top of each other until you come up with a big a complete process, or a complete complete process, or a complete product or services. But but what you're seeing right here on the screen is the types of cyber attacks for small companies. And please do not take these lightly, because they can shut your company down. So the next slide I want to go to, and Ryan, this is where I want your help.
Nope. I can't do it. It's too late. It is too late for me to think right now. You're going to have me do heavy lifting at, oh my gosh, at dinner time.
Ryan, I'm sorry, but I've been up since 6 o'clock interacting with India. So,
Okay. You have no pity on me.
No sympathy at all.
And
So,
I've
okay.
seen this before. Now, SWATs are, I'm not, how can I say this? It's not that I haven't seen this in typical business planning, SWOT analysis. So that's interesting that we're using this tool as a part of our Agile discussion. But okay, I'll go with it. But my answers may not be the best, but okay, let's do it.
No, and I meant to take that A and make it an O, and I apologize for that. I'm not trying to swat a fly.
I didn't know. Hey, I thought that was that's the Agile way. You
Say,
put an A in
um,
there.
right. So Ryan, do me a favor.
Yes.
Put your small business cap on. And I don't know if you have if anybody can type in or respond as well. But currently, and there at the bottom of that says strengths, characteristics. What are the characteristics of a business that gives an advantage over cyber threats? So what aspects of that currently within the business that are strengths that they can prevent a cyber attack? What are something?
So okay, let's talk about this for a second. So the strengths would be things that are already in existence. Let's just make sure
In existence.
that
Right. They already have
so
it.
I have a small business A, and I'm thinking of what I already have in place that I can utilize as my strengths. It's not something that I need to do, it's something that I'm doing, correct?
Right. Something that you think you already have in place, that you already have in place in your business that will help prevent a cyber threat or cyber attack.
So, I mean, if I own a small business, I'm hoping that I have in place. First and foremost, my network is protected by hardware appliances like firewalls, and I got antivirus software running on all my machines. My operating systems are patched with the latest security updates. I'm thinking about it from a computing standpoint, right? I know I'm falling into the trap. Okay, but here's the other part.
No, you're not.
Hopefully, this is the point, right? Hopefully, I'm also doing something to train my employees on a regular basis of what to look out for. There's some kind of continuing training. Now, does that mean that they pay attention to that? Like they could go through the training and then just, turn around and it not matter. I
Right.
recognize that as well. But I
Okay.
think that I'm doing those things, and I'm probably, if I'm going back to the computer end of it, I'm probably not allowing many people to have administrator privileges on their machines because that'll let them install whatever they want, and I don't want that. I know
Okay.
I get
So how big
hate
is your
mail for that.
company? Because antivirus, firewall, I mean, I know a couple of small companies that, they only use the firewall. What is that? What is that? A malware that you see on television. I mean, they're getting the minimum amount, and this is not to insult any small business companies, but if you're looking at a mom and pop store who is not having a lot of funds, they go for the minimum. But what you explained, good.
I, I'm sorry.
Right, no problem, no problem. Okay, so that's the strengths. So the question
I
is,
don't want to
what are
fail.
we?
Wait. I just want to say I don't want to fail the test.
No,
So
there's no test. There's no test.
that's
There's no
why
test.
I'm
But
coming at you with all this stuff.
so what are the weaknesses? And folks, we're going to bring all this, we're going to bring this all together. But what are the weaknesses?
Okay, so I'm thinking that a weakness might be, and again, we're relating this to security, right? Cybersecurity. So
Cybersecurity.
what did I not mention? I didn't mention that anything about the physical premises. I mean, I don't know if we're going there, right? But I didn't mention physical premises and like locking doors and all that stuff, and I didn't mention, this. I'm sure there's holes in like who I give access to what, who's got a key, who doesn't have a key. I mean, am I going in the wrong direction
No,
with
no,
that?
but not even just that. But what using access key? What's the biggest access key to any passwords? Changing, that's a weakness. Some companies don't have a policy to have their employees change their access on a 6 months, 3 months, 6 months basis. Or some people don't have that 90-day basis. That's a weakness.
Hmm.
That's security weakness, especially if a person from a hacker gets into your facility and or into your computer system, and is able to extract people's password. That's a weakness. Password weakness. That's a weakness.
Right.
Okay.
Because right, I definitely didn't mention that, and I'm thinking that I probably may have ignored that. If so, in fictitious small business of mine, I've ignored password complexity
Okay.
and password time expiration. Password expiration. That's what I want to say.
So the next thing is looking at opportunities. Where are areas within your business that you think that you um can take advantage of bringing in something that can give you that can prevent cybersecurity threats?
Hmm.
What's an opportunity that you have that you can strengthen your environment?
Well, I can learn from you and implement some of the things that we just talked about, that things that I forgot about. So
Okay.
those things, but maybe I want to bring in some folks that are experts, or let them hear it from somebody else other than me, right? Because the boss is saying we got to do this, we got to stand up better cybersecurity operations here. We have to be more cognizant and mindful of our posture and yet,
This, yeah.
maybe employees are looking at me like, we don't want to have to deal with this. But maybe I bring in some other people like you to kind of explain why, if they're not listening to me.
Right. And you had a lady earlier, I forgot her name. Your
Oh,
first
Miss Aisha Hollins.
must right. So one of the opportunities and is to bring Miss Aisha Hollins in to help you identify areas of where your weaknesses and your threats are, that can cause your business to get hacked. So that's the threat part. So now that we've gone through this exercise, and this is an exercise, folks, that is utilized by Agile. See how simple that was? That didn't take a whole lot. It's a tool that can be utilized right now by small companies that they can really examine their current environment. So now that we take that, so we looked at our strengths, we looked at our weaknesses, we looked at our opportunities, and we looked at our threats. So
Wait,
what do we do with that?
hold on now. Did we identify a threat? Did I miss that part?
Well, I was trying to move a little
I'm
forward.
sorry.
I'm sorry. No, but if you want to give me a threat, we can. What's a threat? Give me a threat that you feel that your environment right now is exposed to.
So
It can cause your business trouble.
hmm.
You told me you had network.
I got it.
How,
I got it.
right.
It could be me. It's the boss. In my fictitious company, the boss is blind to maybe certain things and therefore and maybe isn't educated enough. Could that be a threat? Would that be a verifiable threat?
Education, right? Training.
There you
Training
go.
could be a threat. That can be a threat to you because you're not utilizing the tools and knowledge of what could be how to help you out with a cyber attack. So once again, any small that is just a paper and pen on a whiteboard a small company can do to acknowledge where they are, get a current picture of where you are. And that's an aspect of Agile. Okay.
Can I call that a tabletop exercise? Is that fair?
You can call it, yes.
I'm trying to get
You
with
can
the
call
lingo.
right.
Okay, let's keep
Yeah,
going.
you can do the tabletop exercise that could be done with any small company, and it didn't take it didn't take it's a paper and a pen and understanding the process, the framework. Okay, so now once you have all that information, what the heck do you do with it? Well, the next thing is you do what we call it's called tiles. And you take that S and you put it in the back. And what you do here is you're looking at ways in which we call how does a strength and opportunity, how do you look at strength and opportunity to help you resolve or mitigate? You look at strengths and threats, and you look at that and see how you can use your strengths to mitigate your threats. Then you look at weaknesses. And you look at your weaknesses, and you look at figure out, okay, we have opportunities to correct our weaknesses. So where can we what are some of our mitigation ways we can mitigate our weaknesses? And the same thing with threats. How do we take our how do we correct our weaknesses and threats with that? And that's another on paper and pen together, and taking all that exercise that you did with SWOT, and now you're looking at ways in which you can mitigate and identify ways to correct.
Wow, that's pretty neat. I mean, I don't think I've seen it done quite like that. You list your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then that's it. It's the end of story. You're done for the day. Thank you so much. We'll look at this at another time at the next strategic planning meeting. But here you're pairing them up in a way that I've never seen before. So I like this a lot. Thank you for
And,
this.
and once again, this is what we use in Agile when we are facing no matter what industry we're in. When I go in as a consultant, and I see that we have some risk, I use this exercise. So once again, I'm talking about a cybersecurity issue, and I'm using Agile tools to help you, your fictitious company, identify ways in which you can quickly identify how you can mitigate a cybersecurity threat. Now, the next thing you have to do is figure out how you're going to manage that. Okay.
Is that the next slide?
Well, the next slide is about what I'm moving into an overview of Agile and Safe. So what I wanted to say here is I've already showed you how you can use Agile Safe. So now, what is it? You've shown me a tool. So, but what is Agile? So Agile, if you go to page 11, I'm gonna show you that.
Okay, hang on. Let me catch up with you here. So first I have to put the show back up on the screen for those that are wondering, like, what are they talking about? We're not. I don't see any slides right now. Okay, now you should see some slides. So we have overview of Agile and Safe, which is slide 9, and we're talking
Right.
about the who, why, what, where, when. But if I go over one slide, you have a nice
Digital. It says the digital age impact business and IT. Now, if everyone was to look at this, and what's common, what stands out in that middle picture? In that middle picture, you see business solution, digital systems, and software applications, and lean agile. But in the peripheral area around that, you'll see the various businesses or aspects of a business within that screen.
Okay.
Okay.
We're caught up. Yeah, I'm on the right one now.
Okay. You on that one?
So you got software
Okay.
applications in the middle, and then you have digital systems, and you have business solutions. But all around the periphery is development,
You have
finance,
legal,
people,
right? You got
marketing.
finance, you got legal, you got government. All of these are entities that are impacted by Agile. We call them business agility, requires technical agility and business level commitment to products and value streams. Okay. Every single one. We're not taking IT on the left-hand side. We're not taking business on the right-hand side. We're moving them all together. They all have that common denominator of a business solution, digital system, and software application. They're all they're all together.
And I like what it
So,
says, and it requires that everyone involved in delivering business solutions uses lean and agile practices.
and once again, I'm going back to that going back to the beginning, right? That holistic view.
All right.
On the holistic view. But now that we have a view of that holistic business view, in the next slide we're here, we have when you're using Agile, it has the statistics, and this is from Scaled Agile Inc. They went out and surveyed, and this is over years, that the benefits of using Agile in the various in engagement, time to market, quality, and productivity. And they're saying that it has improved, you have one for engagement, it's improved up to from 10 to 50%, and time to market is faster by 30 to 75%. But what would happen? What would happen if a company does not engage in cybersecurity protection? What would happen to those numbers?
Audience.
Okay. What will happen to them? Those numbers will be drastically affected by a small business. Those numbers will go down. Why? Because you now can penetrate a cyber attacker can penetrate your product, your services, and putting something time to market can be drastically cut. The quality of your work could be cut because now you don't have access to your point of sales or your software or whatever it may be. And when I say point of sales, that's business. You don't have that, or the productivity. if you are in a manufacturer and a cyber person comes in and hacks your system, most of our car industries are what, automated. They have assembly lines. People like companies like Boeing or Lockheed, there's a big assembly lines. If they get hacked, oh my goodness, there's issues. So once again, agile and cyber security, there's a connection there, and I'm going to continue to go back to that aspect. But when you look at what is agile, agile is basically nothing but it's about increments. It's about taking a they call MVP, or minimum value product. Instead of waiting 10 weeks, 30 weeks out to produce something, you want to produce things in increments where they can build on top of each other. And when I do my training, we take an example of a box, and you want to have a 20 by 20 brown box at the end of to be produced. But right now we're going to have the when we produce something, we may do a 6 by 6 box, and it may be white. But is that what your customer wants? So you take that 6 by 6 white box, and you distribute that to your customers. There may be a candy store or whatever it may be, that need your white box. And I said, what, that white box is nice, but I need a white box that has dividers in it. Well, if I waited to 6 months to get that out, and I'm like, dang, I need dividers now. Well, I can take my agile process, which is in small increments, and okay, that's not a problem. I did a white box. Now they want that white box in small. They want the dividers in that. I can do that. I can turn that around quickly. I don't have to wait 7 months to get it all through. I can do that in increments. I can put that in my back, and I'll talk about that, my backlog, and I'll add that onto my increments. But agile is about processes and tools that enables individuals and interactions. It's about identifying solutions, okay, and to support working software. It's about documentation. It's about contract negotiations for customer collaboration. It's about, once again, responding to change in a quicker way than your typical we call it waterfall or SDLC. Okay.
So I'm just a little curious. Is it that we are going to have to learn all these different acronyms? Because on one slide I saw SAFe, and then we mentioned Scrum and Agile, but I want to make sure
Yes.
that we're all getting it. We're all on the same page. So if we back up just a second,
Mhm.
SAFe. What does SAFe stand for, or why is it SAF in caps and then E as a
Okay.
lowercase? If there's a short version of it, of course. I'm not trying to take up too
Okay.
much
No,
time.
no, no problem. Agile is your basic. Agile is your basic structure. If you go to the next slide, I'm going to use that. Agile is your basic structure of agile is, normally you had your silos. You had your developers, you had your testers, you have your BAs, and everybody worked in their own little silos. But with agile, the basic structure is you work across work across teams. You set up a team, and they call them pods these days.
Hmm.
And you have your developers, you have your testers, they call them product owners, your scrum masters. You have those. You set up we call them pods, and they work together. Okay, it's almost like a village. Okay.
It takes a
And
village.
really it is, because that group of people, whatever work comes in, those people, that technically, that group of people don't change. Unlike your regular SDLC product management life cycle, you may have one person from development and test and BDA or another area, and for that project you work together, and then when that project finished, they disband and you come up with another group. With Agile, you're working with one cohesive group at all, one cohesive group, and that they call them pods now. And no matter what work comes into that group, that pod knows has they have a working relationship, and they work together.
And it's
And
cross.
they're called cross-functional teams.
Right, I was going to say, so it's cross-functional teams, and that means that
Absolutely.
there are representatives from every area.
From every area. Now, if you have to have you may have a specialty, you may come in to take care of certain things at the time, but that core group, it can be from 5 people all the way up to 11. I've had a larger group, as much as 20 people, but they don't change often, and they work together. They take ownership. They are accountable for the commitment of that delivery of that product.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so in the so let me just go back for a minute. In the next view, in the next, I think 15, the difference between Agile and your normal SDLC. I hope you don't hear my dog barking in the background.
It's okay. We know that it's late at night, and he probably wants your attention, or she wants your attention.
Don't worry about it. No, we're good. He's good. I just wanted to, but the difference between an agile and the methodology is that you have those pods, and those pods of people go through a methodology, a life cycle, and they bring stories. We call them user stories or requirements in, and those are user stories. They bring them in, they look at them, and they analyze them. Okay, and when they analyze them and they do the planning, it goes through what we call a 2-week life cycle. And every 2 weeks, a product or a service or an aspect of a product or a service is produced. But the thing that is different from Agile from the normal project management life cycle, and the normal project management life cycle, you wait to the very end to do your demo and to let your we call your stakeholder, your customer, your stakeholder see the product before it goes out to the customer. With Agile, every 2 weeks, you're supposed to have a demo of what you're producing.
Okay. So it
Does that
makes,
make
yeah, it kind of holds you accountable. You can't hide off in the darkness and say, we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it. Instead, you have to produce something
every
iteratively. And
iteratively?
so every 2 weeks,
Right.
is it always 2 weeks, or is it sometimes, it depends on the company, or how does that work?
Right. It depends on the company. You have every 2 weeks. I've been in environments where I've had agile team do every 2 weeks. I've had another agile team do 3 weeks. And the other thing that is different from the traditional waterfall SDLC life cycle with agile, and this is where it gets a little dry, folks, is that you have ceremonies. You
Oh,
have you have daily ceremonies where the team huddles together and talks about what they did yesterday, what they're going to do today, are there any impediments, and if there are, they're taking their, we call it the after talk. That is taken off and afterwards, and it's talked about every day. Unlike with, I hate to say it, with SDL lifecycle, you may not hear about an issue until 2 weeks or a week when you have another meeting when the boss wants to get together. No, with Agile, you meet every day and you talk about those 3 questions.
and what did you
What did
call
you do?
what did you call that again? What's the name of that? Those meetings every day?
It's a daily stand up.
Are those also called
DS
huddles? or no?
Well, I call it's daily stand, but you huddle together. I'm just giving the description. You
Okay.
huddle together, and virtually right now we all get on the same, like we're doing right now. We get on Meet and we talk about what you did today, what you
Mhm.
did yesterday, what you're gonna do today, and what impediments you have that's holding you back. So if you're an HR organization and you're putting out a new process
Mhm.
and you have to do some government regulations, and I'm bringing it back in here, and that's just IT, but this can be used in with HR, and you're having to implement a new HR process because there's a government mandate or even a board mandate. You're going to huddle together. You're going to identify what are the tasks that have to be done, and the team is going to huddle every day to identify how you are moving that process along, or that policy along, so it can get implemented at a milestone, which may be at the end of November, because you're
Mhm.
getting ready to go into a new year. So now you have to have certain policies in place before January 1.
So I'm thinking about that as an employee, and the way I'm used to doing work just by myself. It's like I don't necessarily care to present. It's not what I'm used to, right? So I wouldn't care to present the middle of the road, the drafts, right? It's kind of like, let me hold off, and then when I have something that I think is ready to see the light of day, I would want to then present it. But I would have to get out of that mode. Now, on the flip side, as a manager, I would love this because, of course, the accountability piece is there, and I know that
Correct.
I'll be checking in, and if something's not moving fast enough, or we're not making progress, or then that's one thing. But the other thing is too, you learn what the roadblocks are, and
Up
maybe as a
front.
manager, you can kind of help push those to the side. Whereas if you gave somebody 2 months to do something, and then it's day 100 and I don't know, no, it's not even. I'm sorry, day
Too much. That's
45.
a 60 day,
Yeah,
right?
right. Day 45, day 50, and all of a sudden they're saying I can't do it. But we could have talked about that a lot earlier. But this methodology allows for that to talk about it all the time.
Right. And every 2 weeks, something has to be produced. Okay. There's and I'm using HR as an example, especially when you have to have certain government mandates for HR that have to be met. So, or a marketing strategy. Hey, you have a product you have to get out. So once again, this is not just an IT. This is applicable to any process, policies, any product or services that have to be rendered to the customer.
Now, did you also mention that it's not just the team internal that works together and meets regularly, but also you're supposed to produce for your clientele as well? That you did say that, right?
Okay.
Did I miss that?
Right. Right. No, you didn't miss that. So we have there's five, we call them, some people call them rituals, some people call them ceremonies, but you have your backlog. The team once again gets together and they review what they call the backlog refinement, the list of activities or list of requirements that have to be done for that particular product or services. They call it sprint planning. What are we going to do these 2 weeks? So the team sits down and they address what they're going to do for that 2 weeks and what is the deliverable after that 2 weeks.
I see.
Then they're going to have the daily stand up, you know, every day for those 10 days. Is a 2 weeks is 10 days. Then once the 10th day comes, on that 10th day, the team is ready to quote unquote demonstrate, produce a product that they are working on for that 2 weeks that they had committed to. Now the team works together. They commit on a product or service that they're going to deliver on that 2 weeks, and then the team. This is another good thing about it. The team in the 2 weeks, the not 2 weeks time span, they may be things that they have done well. They may no. This is what did you do well? It's called sprint retrospect. What did you do well? What can we improve? And what new ideas can we integrate in our next sprint so that we can be better at the next incremental sprint cycle?
All right. Wow.
Okay.
That answered a lot of questions that I had. And it sort of it reminded me that of the value of agile just in that space. And I know that this is an overview, this particular
I'm only
discussion, we're
I'm
just
only
scratching
scratching
the
the surface.
surface, right?
I'm
But
on,
but as
I'm
I'm
only scratching the
but
surface.
I'm taking in the ideas and I'm thinking, okay, this is something that I likely need to implement. And really, just it sounds exciting enough to say, just from this point, I need to go ahead and take care of this, and at least on one project, implement it in my place of business. So I mean, this is very exciting stuff.
So let's go to page 20 because we're getting close to time, and I know people have time. I wanted to take and that's called sample agile cybersecurity exercise one. If you go to page 21, and I'm folks, I'm following him on the side because I know I wanted to make sure. When I was doing my research for this presentation, I went out and I looked at and I Googled, agile cybersecurity. And I came up with a lot of documentation. And I went through a lot of documentation to present this lecture. And one of them that I came across was this right here, this triangle. And when you look at agile cybersecurity, it is a three-prong approach. You look at the security strategy, you look at the agile development of your security network, and you look at the continuous monitoring. And in the middle of that, this is another agile tool or technique, is what we call plan, do, check, adjust, or PDCA. So at the security stage, the enterprise has to develop a strategic plan to block cybersecurity. Everything starts at that top level. And we call that the portfolio level or the strategic plan, the enterprise level. That's where everything starts. So if you are a small company, so that starts at the owner, the CEO, the CIO, the manager, whatever that top echelon is of that small business, that's where it starts. Okay? Then the next level is agile development. Utilize the agile framework to develop processes, procedures, IT solutions so that you can mitigate that cyber threat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to monitor that. You're going to put in what we call KPIs of how are you going to mitigate that problem. Okay, remember going back to the previous slide, we had 23.7% of small businesses got phishing attacks.
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
right. So it behooves a company to take that issue, which is a threat, and they have a weakness, and then go through this three prong approach to identify the security strategy they're going to take, to develop an agile development, and that just not with IT, but that's with processes, policies, and with an IT solution. Okay, that's another three-prong approach.
Holistic, full
As well,
circle.
go ahead. Huh?
I said it's holistic and it comes full circle.
Holistic, full circle. Once again. And when you do your plan, you identify the risk and the strategies and the steps to do so. And that's done in every single one of those quadrants. Okay, you develop and execute an execution strategy. You check it. You do your KPIs. Are we meeting? Our weekly, monthly, whatever it may be, your KPIs that you're going to measure yourself by. And then if you're not, or if you are, you make adjustments where you need to make. Okay.
Okay.
We go to the next one, and I'm just basically there are. We don't have the time, but at the top echelon is what we call epics. Those are strategic initiatives. Going back to that slide previously, we have epics, and epics are strategic initiatives. Then you have your features, and your features are your epics decomposed into more manageable, workable pieces. And then those features are then decomposed again into those short stories. So what I gave you an example on page 23, on slide 23, I know I'm going a little fast, but I want to respect people's time towards the end. I gave an example of a cybersecurity exercise. And I'm going back to that example again of the 23.7% phishing attacks on small businesses. So if Ryan, you're business ABC, I'm coming in, I'm helping you out, and you're saying, hey, I have 23% of my network being attacked by phishing. How can I deal with that? I said, okay, well, your main thing is now we got to look at your cybersecurity. And the feature would be to reduce phishing attacks by 10% per month. That will be your objective for your company to do to reduce that. Now, this is all using Agile. And one of the user stories is like the who, what, and where. Who we have it's a script as a that CISO stands for Corporate Information Security Officer. So
Mm-hmm.
you're the manager, but your corporate information security officer would say, as a corporate information security officer, I want the SOC, and these are all cybersecurity acronyms, folks. Okay, what you're seeing right here, to track how many phishing emails are clicked on by employees per month. That's the what. And then why? So that I can report the risk of phishing to the board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
You see how I'm bringing this full circle now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is nice, and the
Uh,
framework that you gave. So again, the epic being the basic task, or the main task. The feature being, this is what I hope to accomplish.
your objectives.
Yeah, and then the story is, you're going to follow this script all the time: who, what, and why, and then you're going to fill in those blanks, and that's going to be that particular element
Right.
within the feature within the epic. I got you.
So let's just skip down to and I know, give me about 10 more minutes. Let's go skip down to the visualization of that. Okay? On number
Yep,
25.
gotcha.
Okay? And what I did here, once again, pen and paper, you have an enterprise strategic backlog, and that's your epic. You develop your epic. You create your feature. You create your user story. You develop the software, the processes, whatever it may be. You test them. You do a prototype. You may do whatever, and then you implement it. This is the most simplest form. It can get more sophisticated and more complicated, but that's the process. Okay. Any questions? And we can even get it simpler than that. Go to the Kanban board. What, post it right up on your
Oh yeah,
in your
I like
meeting
this.
room.
Mm-hmm.
In your meeting room, you take all those necessary steps, and this is all part of Agile. And you can say, you know what, I have a to do, I have a in process, and I have a done. You've already developed your backlog. Those are all the epics that you want to do. It can be backlog for epics, it can be backlog for user stories. Now, what's in process, you're going to develop, you're going to enhance your epic, and then what you can move over, what's in to do, you still have develop the software, create the features, create user stories. And so you can, if you put this on your whiteboard in your meeting room, everybody knows what needs to be done. And your pod, that Agile group that I was talking about earlier, they work in this process. They work with this process. And every 2 weeks, right, in 10 days, whatever is in that to do should now be in that done. So
See.
you're not only talking to each other, but now you have visualization, you have accountability.
Definitely makes it easier to see it right there, whether it's on a whiteboard or you're tracking it digitally, to do, in process, and done. And you want to move the elements from left to right, like that. That's
Left
the
to right.
idea. And so there's a flow. It's a natural flow that comes from that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Right, that's a natural flow. And that's what, that's in its simplest form. Folks, what I just did in an hour, I usually train I usually train folks and it for full 2 days, 8 hours, or 5 days and 3.5 hours. So I crunched all that in.
Well, we know we're not getting the full story. Obviously, you're a trained professional that walks through these elements of Agile step by step, and you take your time and you can really break it all down to its infinitesimal components. And that's the way that you help transform businesses from
Right.
doing things in a way that's more traditional to this and make them more productive. So,
And
yeah,
yes.
go ahead. So I'm sorry.
It's over time. I mean,
Hmm.
once again, it's over. I didn't mean to, but it's over time. I mean, what you just saw is not overnight. But I also want to take this home a little bit with job outlooks for agile and safe.
Somehow
And
I knew
safe.
where you were going with this, and I was already on that page.
um, a lot of people want to know. I say, okay, Paula, this is all good, but is there really a market for what you're doing? And yes, it is. There is a market. If you look at this slide right here in the left-hand quadrant, I know people want to know, hey, can I get paid? And yes, you can get paid. The range, depending upon your skill set and the level of experience, can range from $45,000 all the way up to $190,000.
So that's looking at demand that's in your area. So your geography probably plays a part in this
Right.
too,
I
right?
mean, geography, you have to look at geography, but the sweet spot is about $125,000.
That's not a
But
bad
what are
sweet
the
spot.
roles? Huh?
I said that's not a bad sweet spot.
No, it's not a bad sweet spot. But the various job roles, and if you look on in the right hand corner, what cities are hiring the jobs. And I know a lot of young folks are looking to, when they graduate from college and things of that nature, they're trying to figure out where they're going to, where's the job market. So I wanted to give everyone an idea of where some of the job markets are. You got Tampa, you got Phoenix, you got Pittsburgh. I mean, you have all these various companies, and you're not looking, you don't see New York City in there, but these are other, if you don't want to live in the big city, these are other areas of the country that are hiring people who have the agile skill sets. And the job titles that you're looking at could be, what's some of the job titles? I don't have it. It's just so small for me here. You got
Oh,
Scrum Master.
right.
Um,
Actually, it was
um,
interesting. The job titles, I mean, you got remote Scrum Master. So that's a testament to how the job market is changing and the fact that you don't necessarily have to show up physically to work in some areas. And when you do certain things to be effective, right? I would actually wonder and would like to see in action, how effective a remote Scrum Master can be and if you could be more effective in person or not. I mean, that's just interesting on its own.
I can I'm a testimony of that one.
Okay, testify.
Oh, I can testify. Let me stop. But during the pandemic, perfect example. No one could go into the office. Everyone had to interact the way we're interacting right now
Hmm.
on whether you got Zoom or Teams or Meetup or whatever it may be. And a lot of companies thought that that could not happen prior to the pandemic.
Right.
But now a lot of companies did not lose a beat. So remote Scrum Masters and remote um, um, jobs have really proliferated across the United States, across the world. I'm dealing with Scrum Masters and POs over in India. Um, all the time. Like I woke up 6 o'clock this morning to interact with a group over in India. So that's the way we are. Then you have the product owner, and that's another major role for Agile. So there are a variety of roles that we have here for Agile, but that basically is. And then there are training classes. That's the next one I would like to talk about as well. That so how do you become a Scrum Master? How do you become a PO? How do you become an Agile coach? What is it necessary? What are the necessary skill set for a team to be effective And there are four major training classes that I recommend, whether it be within the university, outside in a private company giving these trainings. But leading safe is for your leadership. That gives that leadership the understanding of the basic fundamentals of how to set up an organization, an agile organization. The next one is safe for teams. And safe for teams is, as a team, you have your developers, your testers, your product owner, your scrum master, and your specialties. You With that one, you're looking at, how do we function as a team? You're looking at all those, that sprint ceremonies or rituals.
Right.
How does the team work with those rituals, and how do they function within that 2 weeks? So that gives it from a team approach. Then you have the Safe for Scrum Master. And that's where I started off. I'm now an agile coach, business transformation coach. But I started off as a Scrum Master, and that's focusing on the role as a Scrum Master. And I call the Scrum Master as, the individual that, orchestrates, the team. He or she is responsible for making sure that it, facilitates the events, facilitates the daily scrums, making sure everyone is adhering to the what we call the principles and the methodology of the agile framework. And then you have your product owners, safe for product owners, which are the individuals who interface with the we call the business owners or your stakeholders to bring in the requirements for that particular product or services.
So are we,
So
as we look at that slide, is it, or the graphic, I should say, is this the proper, start here and then you manage to get your way up? So you start with leading safe and then you end up as safe for product owner, product manager, or can you take training at various increments and it doesn't really matter where you start, what you're
depending on
going
your
for?
role,
Depends on your role.
depending on your role.
Okay.
If you're a business, if you're a small business, person, business, and you want to bring in aspects of safe and you don't understand it, I would recommend leading safe for your managers, your directors, and things of that nature, so that they can get a better understanding of what it takes to develop an agile team and start that transformation, because it's not overnight and there's certain steps that you really need. If you are a developer or a tester, and you're formulating a team, we do a, safer team so that everybody understands how they work together. Okay, that as a cohesive group. If you're going to specialize as being the scrum master or a product owner, then we also have that. So I tell everybody, everyone should take safer teams. And if you're going to specialize in being a scrum master or a product owner, then you need to take those. But everyone, from a leadership, you need to take leading safe. And from a team perspective, you need to do, safer teams. And there is much more after that. But these are your four basic trainings just to get yourself moving in the right direction.
So a question that I have is,
Hmm.
it can, let's say I want to do leading safe. I want to start off with that one. Can I come to you for the proper training and then, subsequently take my test? I mean, does it work like that, or I'm just curious.
I am certified.
So you can't. And you said that at the very beginning, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that if there was something that they were interested in, that they could reach out and contact you, and that you could
Right.
lead a training for that for sure.
Right. I can lead a training. I one of the things that I have in my SPC, like once again, the scaled professional consultant, I have the certification they call them enablements. I am enabled to set up a training class. And then when you take the training class with me, because I am certified through Scaled Agile, you'll be able to sit for the test, and there's a test, and get your certification in leading safe, safe for teams, safe for Scrum Masters, safe for PO. And I'm getting ready to get my certification for RTE and lean portfolio management.
So we can come to you for anything, and you will guide us in the right direction. and lead
Yes.
us to the promised land of being safe, Scrum, Agile, certified in one way or the other.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right. I'm considered now an agile transformation coach.
Hey, I, I like that. Right. Because it seems like you don't, I feel like there's opportunity to sort of learn some things on your own. There's self taught opportunities out there, but then it usually doesn't ring as true, or it's not usually as effective as if you have somebody who's guiding you through the process the whole way, and somebody that can, in my case, hold my hand, tell me where I'm going wrong, tell me if my thought process is not correct. So I value, and being an instructor at a community college, I value that opportunity and experience, and I think that the students do as well, because they say, well, I need you. I need you face to face. I need to be able to ask you questions, and so you would be able to provide the same thing.
Yeah, and once again, this is the word is transformation. If you're a student if you're a student, and your students do 2 years, correct?
That's right.
If you're a student and you have these skill sets, and you walk into an organization saying, I have my certification safe for teams, I have my certification in safe for Scrum Master, I have my certification in PO, they're going to say you're ahead of the game than most of your counterparts coming in from a college standpoint.
Hey, what else is
Um,
interesting, and I know I'm not trying to see we're cutting each other
no,
off. We have these ideas, but let's say you're not a college student, but you're thinking about gaining a new
career
skill,
change.
right? Career change, benefiting your business and organization. Maybe you own the company and then you want to implement these things, and you want everybody within the company to understand as well. I mean, it works all those different ways. It's for all those markets.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And especially if you're in the industry, you're seeing a lot of change. Like I said, change is going to be not overnight, but as we sat down earlier and we drew out that quadrant, the SWOT, you can do the same thing as what your strengths, what your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are your threats, and look at that from a business standpoint and say, okay, here are my weaknesses. How can I use Agile from a business standpoint to move this forward? How can I form these little small pods or teams to help a marketing strategy, a solution, or maybe a service, those kind of things. So um, from that standpoint, these are aspects that we can develop and design and move forward with.
So I have a few. I know we're trying to leave time for Q&A. I
Mm-hmm.
have and I know there's still plenty of
Go ahead.
people watching actually.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Thanks.
so yeah, folks kind of coming and going, checking it out, leaving, coming back, and things like that. But so a couple questions. I have a few
Okay.
places that I can pull questions from, and one question that came up is, in general, you talk about how that it's a process for companies to transform. Let's say a small business, how long might it take? And I know there's a lot of factors in there, but can you give a range of how long it takes to transform or transition from maybe what you were doing prior to the Agile framework? What does that look like generally?
Okay. That
I didn't make the question up.
no. Um, it depends on your company and the resources. I would say on the average, it will probably take about a year and a half for it to really, work well on machine. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we need to sit back. We need to look at your business. We need to look at what you're trying to accomplish. Remember that the epics,
Right.
the we got to find out what are your, we call them, and I'm trying not to get too many terms in here, but we call it the value streams. And like I said, we scratch the surface. So at that epic level, we need to understand what are you trying to accomplish. And that's the first thing. You just, how fast, what are you trying to accomplish in your business? What are the things that you think you need to move forward? Once that is identified, you may have one epics, you may have three epics. Once that is identified, then we get your groups together, we get the training. So it can take let me say that first quarter, first 3 months to get through that process. So that's a quarter of a year. And then we got to get the teams moving forward. So I mean, it's not overnight. I would say at least a year to year and a half, um, based upon the skill sets and how we move and how we move forward.
But I mean, that's reality, and it's saying when you do this, when you undertake a transition
It's a
like this,
commitment.
it's a commitment, right? I like that's the best word I could that, and I'm glad you thought of it. It is a definite commitment.
It's a commitment. Go ahead. What's
Do
the
you
next question?
do you end up
Okay.
then spending your time? I guess I'm thinking, when you're assigned to be a transition leader and walk these companies through these transitions, is it you are working with that one particular company in isolation, and you're doing the training with them, and you're walking them through it for like a few weeks or a month, and then you kind of check back in? Or are you just working with one, or you work with multiple at a time? I mean, like, I'm trying to figure out from a practitioner standpoint, how much energy do you have to put into this? Because it sounds like a lot. Like you're almost going to be embedded with those companies, working through the
Definitely,
transition with them, and they may that might,
definitely for
yeah.
yeah, definitely for the first quarter. I mean, for the first 3 months, there is I'm thinking in my head a process that I put into place, and I have that first 3 months. I mean, it's really intense. You really have to. That's why we start at the leadership. That's why leadership, leading safe. That leadership class is really important because there is a commitment. It's not just about me coming in and waving a wand. There's got to be a commitment from both the business side and myself or whomever you bring in to say, we're going to work together to make sure that we have a solid business plan, because this is basically what you're going to be ready to do. A solid business plan to move you to the next level, to do a transition.
So,
And yeah,
yeah, leadership has to buy in.
there's
Basically, it starts from the
absolutely,
top. Okay.
it starts from the top.
Hmm.
Yes, it definitely starts from the top. And that transitional, and that's why they call it, I'm considered a transitional coach, because I have to, like I'm saying, I have to bring reality to the table. Okay. And help leadership, and whoever falls underneath that umbrella, help leadership understand it's a mindset. The leadership has to change their mindset. Mindset as far as how they're going to approach this. And once again, follow the leader.
Hmm.
Okay. If the leadership is embracing it, then you have your workforce embracing it. We can move, it moves a lot more faster.
Wow. Okay. Like I knew, and like you knew, this was going to be an epic episode. We're talking. We're almost at an hour and a half now.
Okay.
Can
I know.
can I ask, if there's more to talk about? Would you come back and maybe speak to it a little bit more, or are we getting a little bit too far into? If you want more, there's we can't let too many trade secrets out. Are we at the limit, or would there be space for another discussion? I'm just curious. Put you on the spot.
Um, normally normally, like leading safe, that's a class, and that itself, is, how can I put it? I would have to look at certain aspects, but, um, I would have to look at it in certain aspects, but really, there's you will have to go really in depth, and most of those four classes would, entail, more time and commitment from individuals as well as, businesses. So yes, there would be some negotiations.
Hey, look, we have to ask those kind of questions on the show,
I'm
right?
okay with that.
Because it's and that's perfectly understandable. If we go any deeper, it's a whole nother ball game, because this is right here. This is the surface, and I feel like we've learned so much, though, so much in an hour and a half. that I feel like tangible things that I feel like I could take back already, but to know that there's more to come, gosh, it's like, uh, wow, are we ready for that? But like you said, it's a transformation. So I, I definitely don't want to cut us off, but I'm sure we're done
Yeah.
as far as the amount of time. I know the dog's probably waiting for you to feed her or something like that. You probably have family you need to get back to and visit with. But do you have any last or parting words for us before we conclude this session? Please give them to
The
us.
one thing that I want, the one thing that I want everyone to take away, and that's why I started the session off with the SWOT. If you can't take anything else away from here today, you've identified a tool that you can utilize, paper and pen on a whiteboard. And if you have a issue or a risk, or you're trying to develop a strategy or a product, try to use that SWOT to identify your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And then use the toes. And if you can go walk away with that, then we're good. You can do a lot with that.
Well, wow. I can't thank you enough for taking all this time out of your evening to give back, right? To give to the Louisiana Delta Community College
Thank you.
family, the community, all the folks that tuned in. We thank you for being here. And even though you're on East Coast time, we made it a point to say, remote means nothing. We can beam you in and you can teach us. And it's just great that you were here. So thank you so much, Ms. Strain.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to turn up the music as we get out of here.
Boogie out of here. Boogie out of here. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank
Have a
you
good
so
night.
much, everybody.